This video is out of order of how I wanted to introduce you all to my new home. But since we are well into October and I haven't got a single holiday video out to you guys yet, I knew I had to hurry and get this up. So just know a house tour will be going up here in the next few days. I moved in on October 1st, and because you all know how much I love my holiday decor, I made sure as boxes were coming into the house to leave all of the fall and Halloween bins up in the living room area. Most years, I plan out exactly what I'm doing. I'll go crazy in the summer pinning all kinds of new ideas or decor pieces I want to add to my collection, and this year I didn't have a single moment to think about it. In fact, as I've been going through my bins of decor, I've realized just how much I have and so much I don't use. The thought of adding to it seemed a little daunting. So I'm sticking with what I have and finding new places in this new space to put everything. I've also found myself moving things around since filming this. In fact, the whole living room area looks a little different, but I think that's normal in a move. Finding the right place for everything. It's rare to get it right the first time. One thing I knew I wanted in this entryway was a wooden sideboard or entryway table. I've never had an entryway in all the homes I've ever lived in, so as funny as it sounds, I was excited about this area. But again, I wanted a dark wooden something here. I had been searching on Facebook Marketplace for a month leading up to the move for the perfect piece to place here. And in that month of searching, I did find the perfect piece. I made plans to meet the seller, but the next thing I knew, it was marked sold. My heart was set on this piece, so I was so bummed when it fell through. I stopped looking altogether and decided to wait until I had moved in to start my search again. And I'm so glad I waited, because on October 1st, as neighbors were helping me move furniture pieces into my home, there were two men standing holding this piece in my entryway and said, "Hey, where do you want us to put this?" And I said, "Actually, right where you're standing." I realized the furniture piece that once sat in my breakfast nook would actually go perfect here. So I grabbed a $7 jar of dark chalk paint, and I figured this would be a quick way to get the look I was going for. I also saved a few $100s and a 200-mile road trip by not getting that piece I thought I needed. Sharing this reminded me of a lesson I feel I was taught in a very strange way last week, of having your mindset on something or a specific plan, and it either falling through or not going how you want. And it was profound to me at the time, so I thought I'd share it with you in this video. The other day, I was leaving my mom's house, which also happens to be the home I grew up in. There's a route I take every time I leave, and not surprisingly, it's the same one my parents took as I was growing up. But last week, as I was leaving, I drove down that familiar road only to see a roadblock sign in the middle of the street. There was a lot of construction happening. The entire road had been ripped up, and there were men pointing in the direction of the detour. I was in a hurry that day, so this roadblock immediately annoyed me. As I put my blinker on to turn right, the words, "pay attention," entered my mind. That somehow this roadblock or detour was symbolic of what I was experiencing in my life. As my car headed down this unfamiliar street, which was also only a few blocks from a home I've spent nearly 30 years in, I noticed these old cottage homes with little gardens and gates. Each home caught my attention, so much so I pulled over to enjoy the view. And I wondered how I had lived in this town my entire life and never been down this road before. I realized this might be my favorite street in the neighborhood, and if it weren't for that detour, I would have never known it existed. And then it hit me, that feeling I had just moments before to pay attention. This was symbolic of my life. I had a plan. I knew exactly where I wanted to go and how I was going to get there. And suddenly, without warning, there was a roadblock. And I was forced on this detour. And as I've traveled down this unfamiliar path this year, I have met some of the most beautiful souls I would have never met had I not been down this road. All of the life experiences I've had this year, I wouldn't have had without this detour. And ultimately, the person that I've become this year, I wouldn't have been without this detour. But the real point here is that the detour still led me to my original goal. I still got to where I wanted to go. It just wasn't in the way I imagined it. And if you apply this principle to life, at the end of it all, where do you want to end up? You might have an idea of what that looks like. The happy marriage, a house full of kids and grandkids, and maybe a few acres of land to retire on. But if you peel that back a few layers, what is it you're actually desiring? My detour took me on a whole new route, but the end goal is still the same. And yes, I might have those same ideas of what I want my life to look like, but if I peel those layers back, this is what I ultimately want. I hope that I can say I lived a full, meaningful life, and those around me felt unconditionally loved from me, and that I experienced a lot of love and good memories in return. I hope the mistakes I made taught me the lesson I needed, and that I could be used as a tool assisting others who are traveling down a similar path as me. I hope I keep a positive outlook on life and that I always see the good in people, even when they don't see it in themselves. I hope I have the privilege of growing old and that I get to watch my kids grow into adulthood. I hope to have a partner in life, one that encourages, motivates, and loves me fully. These are all still very much the same goals I had. The detour took me on a new road, but a beautiful one. One I would have never discovered had I not encountered a roadblock.